8 and 9 for my students. And I'm going to share this with you today. So, what is the goal? So the goal is to speak fluently and coherently for up to 2 minutes about the topic. Let's look at that again. Speak fluently and coherently for up to 2 minutes about the topic. So for 2 minutes, you have to speak fluently. Fluently doesn't mean no pauses or no hesitations whatsoever. It means speaking without unnatural pauses and hesitations. Coherently, so stick to the topic and talk about the topic and only the topic for 2 minutes. And that might sound quite easy, but as you know, it is quite difficult to talk about one thing in a foreign language that you are not 100% sure about fluently for 2 minutes. So it's a big challenge, but it's not a challenge that you can't overcome. And this lesson will show you how to overcome that. But you should focus on the end goal. Focus on this and nothing else, and you'll do really, really well. The examiner should be able to understand what I'm saying, okay? And kind of a sub-goal should be always, the examiner should be able to understand what I'm saying for pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. Pronunciation, if you want a 7 or above, the examiner should be able to understand 100% of what you're saying. If they cannot understand 100% of what you're saying, you're going to get a 6 or a 5. Hopefully none of you will get a 4 for pronunciation. And grammar and vocabulary, use grammar and vocabulary as tools to help you communicate clearly with the examiner. The examiner is not looking for your ability to show off how amazing your grammar is, or show off how amazing your vocabulary is, or show how amazing your pronunciation is. What they're looking for is, are you able to use these things to help you clearly communicate with them? So can the examiner understand what you're saying? You're not using grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation as tricks. You're using them as tools to help you with that. And we'll talk more about that and what that actually means later. Okay, so let's look at common problems for part 2. And there's really only one common problem. There are some problems that are related to that, but there really is only one thing. Unable to speak fluently and coherently for 2 minutes. That is the goal. If you can't complete the goal, you're not going to do very well there. So we need to think about why people struggle to speak fluently and coherently for 2 minutes. So one thing would be a lack of development. They're not developing their ideas. They're not talking at length about the points. And why is this? So they're not developing the points because they're looking at the bullet points. So there's normally 4 bullet points. And they'll talk about the first one for about 5 seconds, then the next one for about 10 seconds, and then the next one for about 6 seconds, and then the next one for about 10 seconds again. And they look at their watch and they've only been talking for 30 seconds. They've still 90 seconds to go, and they're like, what do I do there? So you need to be able to take points related to the main topic and fully develop them. And if you do that, you'll have no problem speaking for the 2 minutes, and that's where our strategy comes in. We'll show you exactly what to do. It's a little bit more complicated than just develop each point, but don't worry, we'll cover that in this lesson. Then what happens a lot is people will run out of things to say, and then they'll go back to their previous points and they'll just start repeating themselves. That is not fluent, that is not coherent, so that's a big problem. You want to avoid repeating the same ideas. So they'll say things like, the topic could be, talk about your favorite book, and they'll say, the favorite book is the Bible. I really like the Bible because it's about God. And then they'll run out of things to say, and they'll say, and yeah, it's about God, and I really like it, and that's why I like it, and yeah, it's a really good book, I enjoy it. So they're just repeating the same thing over and over and over again, rather than speaking fluently and coherently. Lack of knowledge. So many people believe that they're going to get a topic that they know nothing about, or some of the bullet points will be on things that they're not sure about. So they see that thing and they just freeze, or they see the general topic and they're just, I'm not an expert in this thing. I don't know how to talk about that. So I do think that the bullet point issue, not being able to talk about certain bullet points, is a real problem. And that's what we're going to address in the strategy. The problem that most people fear is they're going to see the topic and they know nothing about that topic. I don't think that's a real fear, because where does this come from? It comes from students looking at fake questions. Most websites, most places that produce questions are not, they don't really know what they're doing. Everybody thinks that they are an IELTS expert these days. You've got a huge number of people creating their own questions, and because they don't know what they're doing, they assume that all questions are really difficult, and therefore they give people really difficult topics. If you look at the real questions that you get on the real test, they are about normal everyday things that 90% of the world could actually talk about. That's how they design them. Believe me, I have talked to many people who actually write the questions for Cambridge, and what they do is they think, how could we come up with a topic that most people will be able to talk about? Not, how can we think of a topic that will trick lots of people? They are trying to make your job easy for you, trying to give you the best opportunity to do your best work and to be able to speak to the best of your ability. So if you think, what if I get a topic I know nothing about? It's like saying, I don't want to go on holiday because I don't want to get on a plane, because what if the plane crashes? Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No, it is highly unlikely. Is it possible that you will get a cue card in speaking part 2 that you know nothing about? Possible. Highly, highly, highly unlikely. Always remember, they are testing your speaking ability, not your knowledge of a topic, and the topics are normal everyday things. Look at the official question, and those fears will go away. Okay, so we're going to teach you now how to speak fluently for 2 minutes. So what happens when you get the cue card? So you get the cue card, and this is the main topic, okay? This is the thing that you need to talk about for up to 2 minutes. So for this one, describe something you own, which is very important to you. So the goal is to speak fluently and coherently about something you own, which is very important to you, for 2 minutes in a way that the examiner can clearly understand what you're saying. These are the bullet points. So this is bullet point number 1, this is bullet point number 2, this is bullet point number 3, and this is bullet point number 4. These are important, but not as important as you think. And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so before we get into my strategy, I want to talk about 2 common strategies that are very widely taught. You'll see them a lot on the internet, and we have a team of examiners and working for us that help our VIP students. And we see these every single day. Students come in and they're like, I'm going to use this strategy and this technique. It's like, okay, go and use it, and they mess it up. So let's talk about those 2 very, very quickly so that you understand why they don't work, so that you can avoid them. So common strategy number 1 is talk about each bullet point in order. All right. So common strategy number 1 is you look at this bullet point and you talk about it. You look at this bullet point and you talk about it. Then you look at this bullet point and then you talk about it. And then you look at this bullet point and you talk about it. The big problem with that strategy is you're going to run out of things to talk about very, very quickly. Also, there might be one of the bullet points, let's say what you use it for, and you don't know what to say. So you're going to be like, you talk about this one, then you talk about this one, and then this one, you don't know what to say. So you get in trouble. So it's you know, you're going to run out of things to say, and it's also a very unnatural way of talking to someone. Remember, the goal is to talk to the examiner as if they're a friend or a colleague. You don't normally talk to a friend by saying, let me look at a bullet point, and then let me look at another bullet point. It's not going to help you speak fluently and coherently. It is kind of the worst thing that you can do. I've also seen teachers tell people, speak about this one for 30 seconds, and then this one for 30 seconds, and then this one for 30 seconds, and then this one. I couldn't do that. All right. And I do this every day for a living. That's impossible. You're actually making it more difficult if you do that. The second popular strategy, which you will see a lot, it's been around for years and years and years. I first saw this like nearly 10 years ago in a book, which is to talk about the past, then talk about the present, and then talk about the future. So what you would do is you would look at these, and then you would think about something about the past and talk about this, and then talk about the present, and then talk about the future. Not so good. All right. Why is it not so good? It's very, very rigid. It is not giving you enough freedom. So there are lots and lots and lots of other things that you can talk about that have nothing to do with the past, nothing to do with the present, and nothing to do with the future. And the best performances from students, especially band 7, 8, and 9, come from people who don't really think, I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to talk about this. And they just talk naturally. So it's far too rigid. It might work for people who need a band 5 or a band 6, but not for a band 7, 8, or 9. And you will soon run out of ideas. You'll talk about the past first, okay, and then the present, and then the future. Okay, what do I talk about next? So again, you can't speak for up to 2 minutes, and it's also a very, very unnatural way. Again, imagine talking to a friend and they ask you, what did you get up to at the weekend? Okay, let me think about the past. Like, you just would never do that. Let's look at the strategy in a little bit more detail. I'm going to take you through it step by step. So if it looks a little strange or it's different from what you have experienced before or have been taught before, don't worry. Okay, number 1, establish main topic. You're going to have to talk about the main topic. It's really, really important. You have to stick to that for 2 minutes, so establish what it is. So number 1, what is the main topic? Take time to understand what it is, because if you don't understand what it is and you just start talking, you're going to go off on a tangent and you're not going to actually stick to what the actual topic is. Number 2, think about each bullet point. All right. So look at the different bullet points, and what you're trying to do here is establish which ones you actually want to talk about. All right, so describe something you own, which is very important to you, where you got it from. Okay, no problem, I can talk about that. How long you have had it. Yeah, no problem. What you use it for. Yeah, no problem. Explain why it is important to you. I can't really think why it's important to me. Okay, so here we go. We're going to delete that. Okay? So we've understood the main topic, and we've thought about the bullet points, and we've deleted the ones that we don't want to talk about, and we've thought about these ones that we do want to talk about. The next one, add any others that will help. So we're going to add more things in that will help us think about the topic and talk about the topic. So let's think about some things that we could add in here. We could add in our opinion. We could add in, we could introduce the topic. We could describe it. We could talk about the past. We could talk about the future. And there are many, many, many other things that you could talk about. And then just something, describe something you own, which is very important to you. You know, related to that, who got it for you? You know, how often do you use it? So you could quickly think about these things, and then again, just delete the ones that you want to leave out. So maybe I can't really think about this one. It'd be easy to introduce it and easy to describe it. Past, no. Future, yeah. Who got it for me? How often? Yeah, no problem. So now you've gone from 4 bullet points to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Would it be easy for you to fully develop each one of these and talk for the 2 minutes? No problem whatsoever. Add any others that will help. Think about what you want to say. All right. So don't spend the whole minute just thinking about bullet points. Actually compose yourself and think about what you want to say. Now you might be thinking, Chris, there's no way that I can do this in 1 minute. That's where practice comes in. You cannot use this strategy and immediately get better and immediately start to speak fluently for 2 minutes. Like anything, you need to practice it, but I guarantee if you practice this, it'll become second nature and you will just be able to do it so quickly on exam day. Number 5, speak naturally speak naturally until the examiner stops you. The examiner will stop you when you get to the 2 minutes. Believe me, they've got stuff to do. They don't want you in the room any longer than you have to be there. Just keep talking and the examiner will stop you. So why is this strategy so effective? Because it gives you freedom. It gives you freedom to talk about whatever you want related to the main topic, and you only talk about the things that you are comfortable talking about, and you're never going to run out of things to say. Remember, the biggest problem is people run out of things to say, then they lose their fluency, they lose their coherence, they start repeating ideas, they start to panic. This gives you so much freedom. And most of the people who we work with, they don't even get to most of the bullet points, but they're just there waiting for them in case they need to talk about them. All right? So again, the most important thing you need to do here is practice this strategy. So in order to practice it, there's a few things you need to do. Get real practice questions. You will get them from Cambridge, you'll get them from the British Council, or you'll get them from IDP. Those are the only 3 sources where you will get real IELTS speaking questions. Everything else is fake. All right, so get some real ones. Use the strategy and record yourself. Get your mobile phone. Everyone watching this will have a mobile phone. Everyone can record themselves. All right, so get a question, hit record on your mobile phone, answer the question for 2 minutes and record yourself, and then listen and critique your own work and think about fluency, think about coherence, think about grammar, pronunciation and vocabulary. I get my VIP students to do this all the time. Even though we do one-on-ones with them and we critique them, we get examiners to sit with them and tell them their scores. Even though we do provide that service, we get them to do this too. Because have you ever listened to yourself speaking? You're like, oh, I can't believe I sound like that. And if you're speaking in a different language, you'll pick up so many little mistakes that you're making. And if you do this and practice this enough, you will be able to produce an amazing part 2 response that will blow the examiner away. Because most people, they're going bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, what do I say? You'll be able to just talk to them like they're talking to a friend or a colleague, and they'll be really, really impressed with your answer if you practice this. But if you don't practice it, you won't get better. So before I set you your challenge, summary, start with the end goal in mind. All right, always focus on that end goal. Avoid common problems and strategies that don't work. Try a strategy that focuses on the end goal, and practice and then critique yourself and do this challenge as well. But before that, I want to show you Rashmi again, who got a band 8, and to show you the way that she used this strategy and the way that she was able to flexibly use it in order to improve her performance. All right? Okay, Rashmi, when you're ready.
I don't think I have bought too many expensive things. I'm not materialistic at all, so I don't tend to spend too much. But if education counts, then I think the most expensive thing I've ever bought is an education at Queen's. I paid £25,000 to be here. That does not include the plane ticket. But yes, till date, that would be the most expensive thing. Where I bought it? Well, I live in India, so I came here at Queen's, and I came here in the UK to study at Queen's. Education has become really expensive, but I think this is by far the most expensive ever. But it was worth it because I learned a lot. They have really good infrastructure, and the quality of the teaching staff is really good. I met students from all over the world here, so the cultural exchange was really good. I learned a lot, not just from being in the classroom, but from outside of the classroom as well. And just talking to people on the streets or volunteering, it gave me a lot of experience, which I don't think I could have gotten just being in a classroom. So I did pay for education here to study marketing and analytics, but I came out learning a lot more than just that. Why I bought it? Because I really wanted to study analytics, like I mentioned before, but besides that, Queen's is a really good brand, and it has a really good image in India, and I think all over the world. It's in the Russell's group, so an education at Queen's is going, I knew that if I invested in it, it was going to pay off.
So as you can see, Rashmi used our strategy to talk fluently and coherently for 2 minutes with ease. And before that, she really struggled with that, and she was running out of ideas. We gave her that strategy. She was able to practice it. She was able to do that and get a band 8. Okay, so your challenge is, let me jump into my computer again and show you what your challenge is and how to send it to us. Okay guys, now comes the fun part where you are going to record your speaking and then send it to us. So your task, and